Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Yappily Ever After. This is episode 3, where Sarah and I talk through all things wedding. We vent a little bit. We talk about trends. We get updates on Sarah's wedding, which is August 2026. I'm Hannah Roze. I'm the founder and CEO of Plannerd.
And I'm Sarah Peterson, head of marketing for Plannerd.
Okay, before we go too far, Stampgate, we need an update on everything that's happening. I don't think we talked about it together after last week's pod, so maybe bring the people up to speed.
Okay, so basically what happened was I thought I was on top of my shit. I did decide to do wax seals on all of my save the dates, knowing that might make the cost of the envelopes go up a little more. And in order to combat that, I took the actual envelope in, wax seal and all, and was like, can you weigh this? Tell me if it's a normal stamp or if I need, double postage, whatever. Guy weighs it and is like, yep, you're good to go. Normal stamps. Here you go. Pick out your stamps. Awesome. We spend the next 20 minutes in the car, just putting all the stamps on, boom, mail them out. I'm like, amazing. Everyone's going to get their save the date like that. That is not what happened. We started getting phone calls from people in different states being like, hi, our, postman said that we owed 50 cents in order to even accept this card, which is mortifying. And then we had other people also from out of state who were receiving the cards with no missed postage. We also then started receiving some back here, which I would just slap a second stamp on and send off.
God. So there's all different categories represented. Some made it, some didn't, but you don't know who's who, basically.
Yes. And I have no idea how. And I'm like, okay, so do we send out an entirely new batch of save the dates to everybody that lives out of state? But then we realized that the weight of the envelope, this is my own issue. If I get a little heavy handed with the wax seal, that's what set it off. So 90% of them should be fine. If I did 4 beads instead of 3 on the wax seal, it puts it over the edge by the smallest amount. So we really have no way of figuring it out. I am just, if they return to me, I'm putting stamps back on them and I'm sending them out again. And then I'm just kind of taking note of who has been oh my God, I got your save the date. I'm like, okay, amazing. Without freaking anyone out. Obviously my family knows. And this only affects my side because I'm the one with all the people out of state. And so of course all of Trevor's people are in California. Anybody in California got their save the date. But anybody outside of California, not so much. So
it's just me checking the mailbox every day, is today the day that I finally get. Also, the other day I was at Nordstrom picking up some stuff and I saw this beautiful suede jacket with fringe on it, but kind of a low-key fringe. I was like, I think this could be perfect for Sarah's wedding.
100%.
I might have to go back and get it because it was perfect, and I don't own anything that's I saw it and I was like, it screams Montana to me, and I feel like it would work in the chicest way possible.
Exactly, and that's what we're going for. I'm like, this whole year is just buy me Western things. That's all I care about. This whole year, the theme is Western.
Okay, so I have a couple things for us to discuss. The first segment I'm calling Wedding Tea Time, where we can talk through some things that came up over the past few weeks in the wedding world. The first one is something we touched on briefly last time, but I thought it was interesting to go into from your photography standpoint, which is 2026 sort of the gone year for weddings? Are people skipping them? It seems like a lot of vendors are noting that their calendars are a little bit more sparse than normal. I'm curious, are people just skipping ahead to 2027, and why is that? I'm so curious your thoughts.
I have a theory on this. Yes, it is true. And it's not just, if you are a vendor and you are listening to this, it is not just you. My entire team across the board, everybody had a slower year. I had a slower year. And at first I thought it was just me taking on less. No, it was generally a slower year than the previous years. And the previous years, you also had the follow-up of COVID. So you had people redoing their weddings and stuff. things have tapered off, and then you're also fighting the fact that the economy is crazy. Money-wise right now, it's like so expensive to do any type of event, let alone a wedding for hundreds of people. So I think we saw two types of weddings this year and no hybrid, which I think we will see in 2027. So I think we saw a lot of like small elopements where people wanted to get it done, could cut costs and make it very cool and intimate. And then we did see those like over the top weddings where budget wasn't an issue. No one was really taking that into account. Moving forward, I think 2027 and 2028 will be a year of more like intentional weddings, kind of that middle size between like 75 to like 150. And things will start to kind of come back. That is
my budget or the guest count?
Guest count, but also I would say budget. As well. Yeah. I feel like we'll start to see more of those in my personal opinion. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But it was a very goofy year for sure.
Do you feel like there's a hesitation among vendors to kind of put that out there as the first person to be like, is anyone feeling a little slow this year? Like, is that a tough convo, do you think?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the girls on my team will be like, I don't have anything booked into, the back half of the year. And I'm like, that's crazy because last year it was the opposite. I had such a hard time finding second shooters and things for all of my events because everyone was so booked. And so it was definitely a weird year, but I feel like once people actually start talking about it, then you can see the trends and stuff and you don't freak out as much. No one's doing business wrong. It's just kind of a goofy year. The same thing goes for real estate. My mom is a realtor and we always compare notes on like, I remember 2 years ago, she was so slammed, like 3 showings a day, running around like a crazy person. And that's very much how I was on the wedding side of things. And we always talk about how you can look at the economy and kind of gauge, these unnecessary costs of like moving to a bigger house, more expenses and stuff like that. Just like doing a bigger wedding and, putting a lot of money into these events. They go hand in hand. So no, I don't think anyone should take it personal. I do think weddings are just going to go in a different direction, which could be fun.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And even for me as a wedding guest, I even had weddings moved out from 2026 to 27 for whatever reason. And I have, I think, 3 or 4 weddings in 2027 already, which to me seems like I wasn't used to looking that far ahead, even as a guest being alerted that something would be that far in advance. So it's definitely something that's happening. So
yes, I agree with that too. I currently have 3 save the dates on my fridge that are not even just mine, just other people's. And that was not the case last year at all. So take that as you will.
Yes. I'm okay with it because I think traveling without, I have a 15-month-old baby girl, in case anyone didn't know, and I feel like traveling without her or even taking her will be maybe slightly easier as she gets older. I don't know. A year and a half is like a tough traveling age, I feel like, because they want to run around, but you don't want them to, and they don't really like listen or understand. Anyway, mom aside. Okay, the next thing I have is 2026 trending colors. And I put this on my story last week. I'm noticing that everyone is obviously trying to participate in the trend momentum, the trend conversation. And I'm noticing that every carousel reel, people are looking to be in the convo, but then aren't sure what direction to go. So every post has like 10 different colors in it. There'll be cloud dancer, obviously, white, and then there'll be cobalt, maroon, coral, all like pretty much the whole spectrum of directions from super saturated to more minimalist look. And I feel like people are just all over the map right now with the reaction specifically to the Pantone color. So I'm curious your thoughts if like, was this confusion already happening and then it just kind of blew up more because of Pantone's color of the year, or were we confused to begin with? That's what I'm trying to suss out.
I think we were confused. I have 3 theories on this.
Let's hear it. I'm so excited.
Okay. Cobalt blue. Let's talk about cobalt blue first, because I think we've all seen the same AI generated cobalt blue wedding photos. No one has actually seen a wedding done in cobalt blue. We've just seen the inspo photos for it.
Make yourself known if you did it. Tell us. We want to see you.
please show us, because I feel like every photo that I see of that trend, there's no people in it. It's just backdrops and things like that. And I'm like, okay, but we haven't seen this executed. Therefore, I feel like this was somebody created this for like an article or something, and it accidentally blew up. That's my theory on it for cobalt blue, because we just haven't seen it in real life yet. Some of the other ones, though, like the maroons and things, I equate that to 2024 and 5 planning, because that was very similar to the colors of the year like 2 years ago. It was those corals and things like that. And so I think you always are going to see some like bleed over, just because people are planning their weddings for so long. I think that's how we ended up with those like more pinky colors that are in there. And then you've got Cloud Dancer, which confuses the hell out of everyone, because I don't understand why we're making white the color when white was the color for the last like 5 years. That one makes no sense to me. I feel like Pantone got bored, or they were just like, let's just mess with people. Like, let's just not.
I will say, I feel like it has developed conversation unlike any other year, where I'm looking at the past years. 2025 was Mocha Mousse. 24 was Peach Fuzz, 23 was Viva Magenta, and then Very Peppy and Illuminating, on and on. I feel like other years we've kind of just taken it and said, okay, yes, I can see that. I like that. And then people just progress business as normal. But Cloud Dancer truly stopped people in their tracks and like created discussion. People from my life outside of the wedding world were contacting me like, what do you think? What do you mean what
I think? Honestly, you know what? Kudos to Pantone. The marketing play of the year was Cloud Dancer.
Yeah, maybe they did it right. I don't know. I want to know what those discussions in the room are like, and whether it was like, how intentional was it, or did the people just take a hold of it and it took on a life of its own? I'm curious.
Same. But I do think for trending colors in 2026 and going forward, I think we are seeing a shift to more of like what the couple wants instead of like traditional trends. I feel like if you look at like the early 2000s, especially, remember like the 2010s were like the era of sage green. Everything was sage green with like, you know, little coral accents or something like that. Gold and sage green. That's what I remember. Like starting out in photography, I was like, damn, my whole page is just sage green.
Also, I love that, by the way. I'm not over it. I'm a millennial, so
classic. If you're a millennial, sage green and gray hold a special place in your heart. Your house probably has a gray wall. And you definitely love sage green. Yeah, and then like before that, I feel like it was bright, colorful, everything was pink. And so I feel like it kind of like, you know, the trends ebb and flow. Now, I also feel like the influx of media and people predicting these trends is causing it to just go haywire. Like there's not really a defined way of doing, you know, colors for your wedding anymore. I think it's just whatever you look good in and want to put in your wedding.
Yeah, 100%. Whatever you think looks good. I think it's more about the execution than the color itself. Like if you can make it look cool and reflect your personality and what, you know, vibe you want to bring to the day, it can be any color. I think when Grace and I had our wedding in Carmel, our florist, Max Gill, amazing florist, he kept saying, I'm so glad to be doing a wedding that's leaning into saturated color. And I think they had been going through a phase of just like hitting the pastels again and again and again. And I honestly didn't even consider what the landscape of other weddings were doing at the time. I just wanted to do something that reflected what our personality was. But then I didn't realize it was sort of bucking the trend until he kept mentioning it.
But it's cool because then looking back, you guys get, you know, you have the colors that you chose, and it wasn't just like, you know, some boring color that you guys would never actually incorporate into your lives, which makes it great.
Absolutely. Okay, the next one is, there was an article in the New York Times earlier this week, and the title just cut right through to the core. Why are weddings so expensive? And so I thought we could discuss what has shocked you pricing wise over the past months of your wedding planning. And I mean, obviously Sarah has such a unique perspective because you've been exposed to wedding pricing in a way that someone not in the wedding industry just wouldn't have that insight into. But when it's you bringing out your own credit card to pay for something, I'm sure it hits very
Totally different.
So tell me your thoughts.
I would love to, because yesterday I had a woman look me dead in the face and say, we can do your cowboy hat bar for like just $35,000. I was like,
35,000 hats?
30, I was like, what? 35,000? Like, and mind you, this was a video call. So I'm sitting there and she's like, oh, amazing. Like, you know, bottom level, we can just do just the hats and like one branding, 35, like no biggie. And I was like, oh, okay, let me talk to my fiance about that and I'll get back to you.
I'm gonna need to crunch the numbers a little bit before I can.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, that seems crazy. Just for reference, all of my rentals, including a massive tent, like huge sailcloth tent, the fanciest tent that you can get for a wedding, all rentals, meaning tables and like all of that stuff, was like $25K, just for reference. So $35K for a hat bar. And that's no, she's like, we can add in, if you want to add in like, you know, bands and ribbons and things. That was just base cost. That did not include anything. That's just like, here's a hat. I'm like, make that make sense. There's
how many hats? How many individual hats would that have been? Like 200?
100.
100.
100 hats. Yeah.
What?
But actually, not even. I said I had her quote at 75 to 100.
Wow. That makes me wonder, was she just like, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to see what I can do. And then she was hoping, or was this a price that had been secured and approved and validated in the market before?
It has been validated. This is a big company and they travel all over the country. And I was like, oh, they must have it dialed in, you know, they must be able to make it cheaper than everybody else. No, not the case. And then it sent me spiraling because I have the how hard can it be gene. And so I was like, what if I made my own hat bar?
No, she was going to DIY it. Oh no.
What if I made my own hat bar? So I did do a little bit of research and can confirm I could create to execute that exact hat bar. It'd be maybe 1,500 if I did it myself. And
that would mean like the purchasing of the hats and then all the accessories like feathers, leather straps, like buttons or whatever.
1,500. Wow. So that goes to show you there's a massive markup in the wedding industry, which I already knew, but I mean, and anybody who's being honest would tell you that, because it's a higher stake game. Therefore, everything's going to be more expensive. That's why photography is more expensive, videography, et cetera, et cetera. But
is it in your next side hustle? Are you going to go into hat bars as your fourth job, do you think?
I'm so happy you brought it up, because I was on the phone with my friend Vanessa after this, because I thought I was being smart. She had multiple options. And I was like, what about the trucker hat bar with like patches and stuff?
Oh my God, that'd be so cool.
Yeah. Guess how much that one was?
20.
Yes.
Whoa, amazing.
It was like 17, but still insane. And so then once we started down the trucker hat route, if you look up what a press is, like one of those presses that like puts the patches on, they're $120 on Amazon with like thousands of 5-star reviews. And there's a ton of them. So I'm like, okay, this is doable. So now I think we're leaning that type of hat bar. And then we're going to custom make, because you can custom make embroidered patches and stuff like that. And so I'm like, I think we just make our own hat bar and people can just press their own hats. For like that one was even cheaper. I think that one we can get done for like $1,000 total.
Why is that kind of stuff so fun? Like personalizing and picking out the little things. And I went to this event expo in Seattle over the summer at the Northwest Event Show, and there was I can't remember if it was hats or like a cloth tote bag or something. Yeah. But they had all of these little iron-on patches. The line to do it, and this is not like kids at an expo, it's full on it's a professional networking like event, people are there to be like getting partnerships and seeing how they can collaborate. The line of adults waiting to create a tote bag was unbelievable.
See, and that's what I want. And no one in my family, I don't even think Trevor understands my like obsession with the hat bar. And I was like, the best weddings that I've been to have like activities, like you're not bored. Otherwise, it's a long period of time to get bored. And so that was one of the things that I was like very passionate about was my hat bar, which I will make happen. We'll have to do an entire series on like how we DIY'd a hat bar for this wedding.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's actually probably the biggest trend that I'm fully behind and in support of are guest experience activities, where it's not just like the typical flow of the wedding, but there's little things you can do like a tarot card reader or flash tattoos or like bracelet making. Like that kind of stuff is so cool. And I feel like if you had your budget situated in a way that was savvy, it doesn't have to be expensive to bring on one experiential type vendor person.
Yeah, our like stance on it was we were very between, do we want like live music or DJ? And I was like, I will sacrifice, because live music is expensive. Anyone who tells you that it's not is lying. But I was like, you could take that, you know, extra $10K and do like quite a few fun things for guests. And I'm like, music is music at the end of the day. I do think if you're not going to do all these activities and crazy things, then like, yes, splurge on the band. But I was like, that is an area where like priority wise, we were like, music is music. He can play whatever he wants. We got a great DJ. We went top of the line for the DJ so that we could have these other installations that would be really fun for guests, especially when you're making people come from out of state. Like 95% of our guest list is out of state. Therefore, I want people to, you know, have things that they get to take home and show the side of Whitefish and Montana and all of that they wouldn't necessarily get to do.
Totally. Yeah. I love that. I think focusing on the guest experience is, I think, one of the most fun aspects of wedding planning, because I like the design aspect, but my brain is more drawn to thinking about like the experiential flow from a guest perspective. Like, what is the continuity of all the invitations and sort of like the branding of your wedding as an experience that feels cohesive and enjoyable and like curated. So
that's definitely been my favorite part so far, is like basically like designing the theme of the wedding, I think.
Yeah.
I also booked I had to book fancy porta potties, and those were really expensive, so that shocked me price wise.
We do the Seattle wedding show every year. There's a little plannered booth. And when I did it for the first year, I was looking at the map and I saw, oh, we're right next to the restroom. So I'm sure we'll get a lot of traffic because people are, you know, coming to the restroom and maybe they'll stop by our booth. And then I realized once we got to the show, we weren't next to the restroom. We were next to the porta potty vendor who had a restroom set up. I was like, oh, duh.
Were they nice ones? I'm now very picky.
They were so nice. Like the most luxurious, beautiful,
air conditioned, a whole 9 yards. It's like, I didn't know they require generators and all of this stuff. He's like, oh yeah, there's AC. They have surround sound. Crazy.
So you can do music playing in the bathroom?
There will be music playing in the bathrooms. Yeah.
Nice. If there are no vibes in my bathroom, that wedding is a fail.
Correct. I'm excited about the bathrooms.
So booking vendors, obviously there's so many to book and they're not all going to be in the place that you are. And they're also not all going to be in the place where the wedding is taking place. So I'm curious about meeting vendors in person versus totally virtual signing on to the wedding. What has been useful to see that vendor in person, if you've even met any in person, or has it been fully virtual? How has that gone?
You know, that's a really good question. Just from my own vendor experiences, when I first started out, I thought that I had to meet everybody in person. Granted, this was 12 years ago now, so this was way before the days of Zoom. I didn't love doing that only because it really derails your day. If you're a busy person who, like, especially from a photography standpoint, if you think about it from a photography standpoint, you've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're shooting weddings. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you really only have those 4 days to like edit or do anything else that you're a part of. And so from that standpoint, I felt like I was putting way too much time into like going and meeting up with people just for like a maybe, you know?
Yeah.
Now I still am very passionate on Zoom calls. But what's interesting is a lot of my vendors have been phone call people, which is still good. You still get the vibe. I just think there's something about face to face and like seeing, you know, how someone's going to interact that is important. And so I require all of my, you know, inquiring clients to do a Zoom call with me. I won't even book them until they have. And I've been known to like, maybe you don't vibe with someone, or you can just tell that they would be a better fit for a different photographer. And so it goes both ways. A lot of people think that it's just one-sided and that the, you know, client inquiring gets to pick, but the professional does too. So I think it's important, especially for these days that are like 12 hours long. That's a really long time to work with someone. So you want to kind of like nail it down, make sure the vibes are right, all of that. So I would say my answer to that is hybrid. I would do video call because it saves time. There's no love lost. If it doesn't go well, it's like 30 minutes of your day, but you don't have to leave your house, you know? But I do think it's important to actually see who you're working with.
Yeah, totally. It's gotten to the point now, I feel like in a post-COVID world where it's almost off-putting to take a phone call, or like a no video Zoom call is a little bit weird. Like I almost feel like I'm thrown off by not seeing the person. I mean, we used to do phone calls for work all the time. That wasn't weird, but now it's almost like off-putting to not see the person. I don't know.
No, I agree. And Montana as a whole, and I think I've already said this, but they're very backwards, or just kind of like 5 to 10 years behind the times of like a place like I'm so used to the California market, which is always top of the game, like what's new, what's next, that kind of thing. So dealing with these vendors who are in the same industry but operating so old school is very kind of like learning curve for me. I want to see everybody's face.
Yeah, you're bringing planner to the people too, where I think this can be better organized.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody's systems are so outdated. It's driving me insane. That's been one of my like biggest pet peeves so far.
Yeah. Yesterday, actually, I went to meet up with a venue in Woodinville, Washington, which is sort of like our wine country of Washington. And it was so fun to be in person, to have a meeting in person where you get to like meet them. But then I was on the drive there and back. I was like, this is time that I would have saved if I hadn't. But, you know, it's kind of like, it's nice to have that in-person connection, but it's funny how our time calculations are so different, where before it was just commute time as part of the deal. But now we're used to like every moment of the day can be used for something. And maybe does that contribute more to burnout? I wonder, but maybe we're getting too deep, but you know. Okay. In our last little segment, we always do love it or leave it. So do you want to lead the way on these last three?
Love to. Yes. Okay. Today's love it or leave it. Head table or sweetheart table?
Grayson and I did a head table with our closest cousins, aunts, uncles, our parents, and then maid of honor and best man. And I thought it was fun to have those people close to us to be able to talk with them and kind of like extract them from the larger group to just spend time with people, because you definitely, I mean, if you're interacting with people throughout the night, it can feel very fleeting. You're like having a small interaction here, small interaction there, but it was nice to have like longer time to spend with them. But the downside of that is that it means that like Grayson and I didn't get that moment to be together. So I don't know that I would have changed it if I were to go back to do it again, but it's definitely a decision to make. And I think it's good to be intentional about why you're making it and not just like auto select something. I went to a wedding, one of my best friends from college, her wedding in Western Massachusetts, and they had a sweetheart table. And as a guest, you do get to just like ogle at them during dinner, and they're being so cute and they're like just together. So it's like kind of cute to be able to see them be a little couple and you just get to look at them, but then you're not interacting. So
yeah,
there's
ours is, we're going opposite for exactly the reason that you just said, which is, well, I went selfish with it. Trevor was much more, he was like, I feel like that's going to be one of the only times of the day where it's like, it could be just the two of us. And we both have very loud families. So we knew that if we were going to do a head table, we would not talk to each other at all. And so because of that, we opted for sweetheart table. But I will say I have great vendors. My aunt's a florist, and she was like, are you sure that you want to do that? Like, you are isolating yourself from everybody else. And I was like, yes. But I'm viewing it as like, we are setting our sweetheart table up like edge of the dance floor, which is kind of in the center of everything. So I was like, I love that because I get to see everything that I worked so hard to put together. And obviously there's going to be, you know, a lot of more moments throughout the day where I get to hang out with all of these groups of people. But dinner was like the one thing that I was like, okay, if we can reserve that like just for us. Not that I don't think people are going to like hound the sweetheart table and like come up to us, but I just like having that little moment for the two of us to kind of like ogle at you guys as well.
Yes. Yeah. And it's definitely a surreal moment. And I think that was one thing I did not expect from our wedding was just how nuts it is to look out over a crowd and every single person is there for you. And you have specially selected them, and they're people from different parts of your life who have never met each other, but you have them in your brain together. And to see them all in one place is like, it's more mind-blowing than I could have anticipated. And to just like soak in that moment, I think is so important. Of all the moments of the day, I think sitting at dinner and looking out over the crowd and just like soaking in that moment in particular is one that stayed with me personally. So I would say that's a good one.
Good one. I love that. Okay. Next for love it or leave it. Making guests meet new people or sitting them next to people they know.
What are you gonna do for this?
Okay, it's tough. I've decided that seating charts are like one of the banes of my existence because
yes, so hard.
Just to like humor myself, because obviously we don't even have official RSVPs yet, but we did keep the number super small. So pretty much like we're pretty confident with like, you know, a majority of the list will be coming. We've already heard from a lot of people. So I sat down to kind of like play around with the seating chart and just to see how I want the format to be. Do you want, you know, smaller round tables, big long tables? What do you want? And it's tough.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. And then you'll end up with like, you know, a couple or a single person or someone who like doesn't know people. So then you're going off of like life experiences. Like we have one table where it's like, I have 3 friends. They're all from different places, but they all live in Seattle now. And so that was fun because I was like, they should be at one table because they all have things to talk about. So I feel like kind of going off of who you think would like get along and have conversations with or have things in common with kind of comes into play. But I also don't like, I've heard people sit like couples in separate locations and stuff.
Oh no.
I've seen that done at weddings, and I think that's just like so rude. Like it's also a vacation for them and they want to spend time with their person. So I feel like doing that is like not the way to go. Or I've seen head tables where they have like, you know, all the bridesmaids, all the groomsmen, but then if they have significant others, they're like at a separate table. I hate that.
That is so weird.
It's so weird. So I feel like going off of like who they came with, who they know, and then beyond that is like who they would like to chat with or have things in common with.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's awkward to have a singles table, or is that like slyly putting cool people together, or what do you think?
Ooh. You know, I feel like if I was younger, I'm 33, and I feel like if I was a little bit younger, I would do that just because, you know, you're more like, I don't know, loose, fun, young 20s. I feel like that's kind of fun.
We were so loose back then.
So loose. Yeah. But I think in like once you get to like 30s and stuff, I'm also like now it's so different from like, I look at all my cousins' weddings and stuff, and there was a lot more of that. It was like, you know, there were all the single people and everyone's mingling and stuff. And now planning ours, I'm like, it is 90% couples. Like pretty much everyone is locked down. The handful of people that aren't, I would love to set them up if there were like, if we could find a way to like, you know, Trevor's single friends, Sarah's single friends, let's create a singles table. That'd be great.
Oh my gosh. Actually, at our wedding in Carmel, there were same thing, even though we were like, I don't know, 28 at the time, 29. There were only maybe 3 single people out of the entire thing. And 2 of them ended up getting together at our wedding and are now together 4 years later.
Oh my God, that's my dream.
Yes, I know. I take full responsibility for their amazing relationship. No, I just kidding. But it's funny because she was one of my good friends and he is one of Grayson's good friends. So it was like the perfect setup. But it was hilarious because there were so few, like not even so few. There were almost 0 single people and they just happened to be compatible and get along and then go on to have a great relationship.
And it makes sense. Like one of my single friends and I were talking about this because we were like, okay, obviously dating apps suck. I actually met Trevor on a dating app, but it was like a fluke because my first message to him was like, hi, I hate this app. I'm deleting it. Here's my phone number. So we met on a dating app, but it was like out of frustration and I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. It was a fluke. We were a fluke. But she was talking about how like mid to late 30s, she's like, it's just not what it was when we were like young 20s. I don't like the online dating thing. And we were like, okay, so if you're not going to do the online dating thing, then your next option is to either like put yourself out there, join intramurals, join leagues and things, groups to meet new people, or bank on your friends to like introduce.
Lean on your network. You have to network, meet people.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that could be fun. Like that would be, a wedding would be a great place because you have all of these people that are like kind of like-minded because you obviously all, you know, hung out, grew up together, something like that. And so to be able to blend those is wonderful. And you always hear about that too, of like people meeting at weddings.
Yeah. For some reason, growing up, I always felt like that was like such a thing. And maybe it's because we grew up with like, I don't know, rom-coms where like the meet cute was very much a thing. And so I feel like that was just in my mind that like weddings, single people, festive, people are looking nice, and it's like kind of romantic. Not kind of, it is romantic. Last one, wedding day cleave. Too sexy or live your best life? What do you think?
You know, I think there's gotta be like a fine line. I don't like anything that's like too stuffy, but at the same time, when you see the ones that are like mesh and like down to here, I'm like, you're like, you know, taking photos with your like new father-in-law like that. That's kind of weird to me. Fine, there needs to be a balance, you know? I don't know. Where do you land on that?
I think about it where if there was even a whiff of a risk of a nip slip, I would be stressed during the day and I would not be able to like enjoy myself. Like that's why initially I totally ruled out having a strapless gown because I didn't want to be like hiking it up 200 times throughout the many hours of the day. But thankfully my dress was like so structured and the boning was so secure that wasn't even a thing. But I see some of these brides that I'm like, girl, I'm scared for you. I'm scared.
And the trends right now, like my mom and I were just humoring ourselves because we are going wedding dress shopping on the 23rd. And so we were like looking at what they have. And she was like, why is everything like deconstructed is like the vibe? Everything is very sheer and like, yeah, it's pretty, but I'm like, I don't want it to be see-through. Like that's exactly it. I'm like, some of them were like unlined. And I was like, you're going to see things that I don't want you to see. Like, that's not good.
Also, it's hard to have a conversation with someone. Like it could be, I mean, man, woman, anyone. Like if I'm looking at someone and your boobs are in my face, I have to look at them. Like I'm sorry. I just like, it's hard. Like it's so hard not to just like quick glance. And you're like, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to. It's hard not to look.
But you're gonna because it's a statement. Because that's what it is. If you're doing that, it's a statement.
It's not like you didn't know. You knew you were doing it, and so you have to, But I think ultimately my anxiety wouldn't personally allow me to do it because I would be stressed. Also, the way that my setup is, that wouldn't be a problem anyway, but the anxiety would keep me from doing it.
I also see this happen with leg slits.
Oh, yes.
I have seen one too many brides everything.
I did not even think about that.
Leg slits. They are not talked about enough because that is like the number one thing that I deal with at weddings. If a bride has a big slit, we're looking at hoo-ha at least 10 times.
Oh my gosh. Literally, that thought didn't even enter my mind. Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying is I don't even think people think about it. Even the brides that do it and pull it off, they just think it's going to be like, I'm like, you're not taking into account that if you move at all and you are on display the whole day, like we're going to have some shots. I literally spent a half an hour. The reason this is so fresh in my mind is because yesterday I was editing a wedding and that was like the theme of it. Like every photo, I was like literally AIing like, you know, the side of the dress because I'm like, you can see everything.
Wow. And do you think the brides wearing them just assume like, because it's a part of the dress and the design wouldn't let something happen to me?
Yes, I think that's the biggest issue. Or I feel like people, and this goes for like any woman that's ever worn Spanx, you feel secure because it's tight, but you don't actually feel like, you know, the outfit on top because you're feeling the Spanx. And so I feel like they feel secure, but they're not like paying attention to the fact that like, you know, the slit has now moved and is in the front. And like so many times throughout a day where I'll be like, let me fix this for you. And they're like, oh my God, was like everything out? I'm like, I mean, you're in Spanx, so it's not horrible, but like, yeah.
But yes.
But yes, it's there for sure. This is also why you hire female photographers.
Yes. When we got engaged in Hawaii, on the beach on the Big Island, I was wearing a skirt that was a wraparound skirt, but like not a faux wraparound. It was like a true wrap, and the fabric of the skirt was kind of like what's the right word? Like silky. So the tie was very loose, and I was like ranking on it, trying to make it tight, but it would not tighten. So I was wearing a little nude colored slip under the dress or under the skirt. And over the course of walking around the beach and getting engaged, the skirt like fully came off pretty much. And there are half a dozen photos of me with the skirt is like slowly falling off and I'm wearing the slip. So same thing. There wasn't like air hitting my crotch or something that I didn't feel. It was like, oh, I'm wearing a skirt, but it's just off my body. Why? That
is like the biggest thing that I see in weddings is the side slit. It's a move.
People, you got to think about this.
Got to think about the side slit. Got to think about the boobs.
So I'm not off this. If you have a side slit and you are obsessed with the dress, what can you do to make it better? Like, should you stitch it down so it like doesn't go up as high, or like how do you do it?
It depends on the style, but yes, that would be my like first thing that I would tell anyone to do is like at least have it stitched down to like 4 or 5 inches down your thigh, so that you know it's the ones that go straight to the top now where I'm like, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, you know what that works for? That works for people who are standing on a runway with tape on your body to keep it secure, like, but not for an event.
No, and that's how a lot of these dresses are viewed, is like that is the whole bridal dresses are, a lot of them are couture, so you're buying stuff that was on a runway. So because of that, I'm like, the functionality is not always there. I would also refer anyone to walk around in their wedding dress. I have seen so many brides who you just try it on and say yes while you're standing on a little podium. And then when it comes to day of, you can't get around at all. Or like the mermaid dress. Thank God the mermaid dresses are not like a huge trend to be worried about right now. 10 years ago, that was like the number one thing that I would see was like people's knees are stuck together. I'm like, it's going to take her 10 minutes just to get down the aisle. Like, walk. Yeah, so functionality of wedding dresses, it's not always there. You have to alter them.
Yeah, that is such a great tip to walk in your wedding dress. I, again, literally would never have thought of that, and also did not do that myself either. Or like you walk from the podium to the dressing room, but that's it.
Yeah,
like,
that's it. Yep. Yeah. Or arms. One of the big things my mom was asking me, she's like, what kind of dress are you looking for? And I was like, I want full motion of my arms. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, if you look at a lot of these dresses, they have like a tight, sleeve or something like that. And you don't realize in the moment, because you're just standing there, that you won't be able to like woo or do anything with your arms. And so it actually plays into, I noticed this one more in photography, because I would tell a bride, we're doing couples photos, and I'd be like, okay, like, give her a spin around. And she'd be like, I can't move my arms. I'm like, it really limits like the photos that you can get, because I'm like, I can't even have you like put your arms around his neck or like do anything cute. Like, no, you're kind of just like Barbie and Ken at that point, because you can't move.
Yeah, that is such a great point. And then if you're, giving your guests a hug, you're like,
yeah, you're like, yeah, and it looks awkward. Exactly.
And then if you
I want brides running around bridal salons.
Yeah.
That'll be me in 10 days.
If you're comfortable, then you're going to be 10 times happier. And no matter, like, I feel like women in general, like my husband and I have this debate regularly where I'll be like, oh, this shirt is so uncomfortable. Anyway, let's go. It's like, well, then don't wear it. What do you mean? I'm like, but it looks so good. Like, it doesn't matter. If you're going to be uncomfortable, then wear something else. It's like,
especially for a wedding where you're going to be in it for like hours, like 8 hours minimum. Hopefully you have an outfit change if it is uncomfortable, but still you're in it for a really, really, really long time.
Yeah. I think something with my dress, the bustle little thing kind of like gave way halfway through the wedding. And so I then had to like hold the end of it for a few hours until I changed into my after party outfit.
Yeah.
And there are photos of like right before it gave out, and the string is like, you can see it expanding, and it's just like holding this enormous train by a single thread. And so that's another one where you have to make sure the bustle is going to be strong enough, and then also that you know how to do it.
Yeah.
Our tailor recommended that I take a video of her doing it so I could show it to my maid of honor or my mom to do when we actually went to go do it, because seeing it, you're like, yeah, I got it. But then in the moment, you're like, I have no idea how to do this.
I've seen bustles derail timelines by like an hour. Literally an hour, because people can't figure it out and didn't take the time to like practice or anything. They were like, oh, we have pictures or we have videos. And I'm like, no. A day before, you should be practicing so you know where it is and can tell someone how to do it, because they can take a really, really long time. It's a lot of fabric if you actually like, do the math on like how many yards of fabric are around you, especially if you have a huge train. It's gonna take a minute. I'm like a professional bustler at this point now. So if there's like an incompetent bridesmaid, I'm like, give me the video, come over here, give me 10 minutes, we can do it.
It also doesn't seem like it's gonna be a big deal, but then like you're saying, it can be a huge deal, not only in the flow of the day, but also in your own comfort. Like prioritize how you feel on the day, because then you can enjoy yourself better. It's important.
Immediately. I always tell people this because they're like, well, maybe I'm going to want it done. No, the second that your ceremony is over, you're either going to be cocktail hour surrounded by people in close quarters, or, going from cocktail hour to say your first dance upon entrance. You can't do any of that when there's like, 10 extra yards behind you. You're either going to have people stepping on you or like can't even get to you because there's so much fabric. So bustle immediately.
Yeah. And there's also something really sad about seeing a dirty, gross train of a white dress. It's like, it was never meant for this. And I feel so sorry for her being the dress. I'm like, you did not deserve this.
You didn't deserve this. No. And these dresses are expensive.
Yeah. Oh my God. I cannot wait to see which one you select. I'm so excited.
I'm all over the place. And I feel like, I don't know if it was like this for you. I'm like, because it's coming up now, I'm just like overloaded with like, my whole feed is wedding dresses. Everything is wedding dresses. And now I'm all over the place. I think beforehand I wasn't. I was very like one track mind. And now I'm just like, let's try it all. Let's do it all. Like, who knows what we're going to pick? I have no leads. No.
Yeah. When I tried on my dress and I chose that one, I felt so good about it in the moment. And then I went home and then I went back to my Instagram account and I'm getting bombarded with more imagery. And then I had serious feelings of regret afterwards.
Really?
I was like, did I choose, like, all of a sudden I was like, I'm continuing to see all these images. Like, did I make the right choice? And I ended up being so happy with my dress. I was obsessed with it. And also I got to wear two because I had the elopement and then the one that we planned later. But I think there are so many choices out there that going with one and then literally like if I could go back, I would pick the dress and then I would unfollow all of the dress accounts that I have, or like if I get served them in my algorithm, I would mark them as irrelevant or something. Like once you've picked something, move on to the next thing and just stop looking at it because you will drive yourself crazy with all of the inspo. It's
my stationery designer, literally, she gave me the best advice of this entire process. And this was just when we were doing the invites, because she was like, okay, send me like 5 to 10 inspo pics. And I did, but then like a week later, we hadn't had our meeting yet. And I start seeing all this stuff and I'm like, wait a second. So I'm sending her more and more and more. And then finally we have our like call to talk through colors and everything. And we picked out everything. Like it was done. And she was like, okay, my number one advice now, delete everything. And I was like, what? And she was like, it is information overload online. And if you are planning a wedding, you know, the algorithm, everything knows that they're going to keep bombarding you. And she's like, just clean house on your Pinterest page, delete the board. Like your invites are done. Leave it at that. Don't keep looking because you're going to find new stuff constantly.
Yeah. And then you question yourself, which feels terrible after you've kind of built yourself up to make a decision. And then you're questioning. That is a terrible, terrible feeling.
Especially for dresses.
Yes, dresses especially, because it's so personal and you feel like this is, I mean, it is a big decision and it's something that is very emotional and meaningful. And yeah, I was definitely questioning myself. I did not like that. I hate that for me. Oh man. Okay. We got through so many different things this week. I'm so excited to hear how your planning progresses as the weeks and months go by. You'll have to keep us in the loop on your wedding dress. Not the specifics, but like how the picking out and all that goes.
I'm going to have my sister, she's going to be on content duty. I'm like, we'll have all of the content of what we, you know, didn't pick, obviously.
Yeah. One last thing that comes to mind about wedding dresses that I will mention is so many people ask me to see a photo of my dress, and like
show them.
Close friends, like acquaintances, like random people be like, oh, can I see a picture of your dress? And I did end up showing some of my very, very close friends. And if I could go back, I would not do that, because even if like, you know, your friends so well and a photo cannot relay the drama, the emotion, everything that you want that dress to give, that it will give on the day. But I showed some of my friends and the reactions from them were not what I would have hoped they would have been. And so I think there was a moment where I was like a little bit bummed that those responses weren't as over the top, like awestruck by it, which, I mean, no one's going to be as excited about your thing as you are. But if I could go back, I would have been much more guarded about that and let it be the big reveal for everyone, including my close friends. I had like one or two at the appointment with me, but beyond that, I would say like, let it be a surprise, because people's responses like aren't going to be necessarily like, I don't know. It's just hard to control other people's responses.
No, that's a really good point. And now, because I was very on the fence, because already people are asking me, just like random people are like, do you know what your dress is going to look like? Do you have a picture? Can I see it? And I'm like, it's the same thing with like the ring too. Everyone's like, can I see the ring? Can I do it? And I'm just like, like it's overwhelming. Yeah. And so I feel like keeping the dress a secret could be the move.
Yeah.
Then there's no outside opinions whatsoever.
Yes, it's sort of like sharing your baby name before the baby is like, even if someone's trying to be supportive, you can tell like, nice one.
You.
Yeah, but then in the moment, everyone will love it and it will be stunning and But
Well,
I'm
and
so
seeing
excited.
it all together, like hair, makeup, dress, everything, like that really ties it all together. I feel like a lot of people don't have the like creative prowess to kind of like, see past the like messy bun and just like try on when you got like the clamps and stuff on the back and it's not like perfect. So yeah, no, I think I'm gonna take that advice and not show anyone and then do the grand reveal.
Yeah. And then you get those shocked faces of people when they get to see you and it's like, oh, those are beautiful moments.
I love those. I love being a part of that. It's so fun.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as always, if you made it this far, you are officially part of our Plannered family. Thanks for joining us on episode 3 of Yappily Ever After, and we will see you next week.
Woohoo! Bye, guys.